Thank you so much, Michael, for that wonderful introduction. I don't know if I can live up to it.
I believe it.
Yeah. So, well, I, of course, have the unenviable task of, after the last two very rich, very vibrant presentations about innovation and things that are actually happening and that affect our daily lives, I have to come and talk economics and business after lunch. When we're almost ready to go home. So I'll do my best. Hope I won't bore you too much. I bring you greetings from the Caribbean region. I'm Trinidadian. I live in Barbados. And I consider myself very much a regionalist. So I'm a Caribbean person through and through. And it really is an honor and a privilege to be here at ACSIS. And I'd like to thank David and his team for inviting Carib-Export Development Agency to be part of this. For those of you who don't know, Carib-Export is the regional trade and investment promotion agency for what we call the CARIFORUM region, which is essentially CARICOM and the Dominican Republic. It is essentially our job to really attract foreign direct investment into the Caribbean region and promote trade between the Caribbean and the rest of the world. Now, the good thing about speaking so late is that we've captured a lot of what needs to be said in terms of the challenges that is facing both the Caribbean region and Africa, especially when it comes to trading with one another. We've heard a lot about the global landscape changing. We've heard about, funnily enough, this is the first conference I've spoken to in the last year and a half that nobody mentioned the T word.
Mention what?
Tariffs. No one mentioned it. You did? Oh, I must have missed it. Yeah. Well, once. But it's really been a buzzword over the last year and a half. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge that's facing the Caribbean region, and it's a challenge that's facing Africa. I remember I spoke at a conference right here in London. It was back in April. I'm not going to mention the organization. And somebody got up on stage and was like, well, you know, we're getting 45% tariffs, and other regions in the world, for example, the Caribbean, only getting 10% tariffs. Well, I had to correct that immediately. 10% tariffs is a big deal for the Caribbean region. It's a big deal for any small open economy. And I'm sure it's a big deal for African economies as well. So we see what's happening now in the global landscape. We also talked a lot about what's happening in terms of climate change, and we don't need to go back and mention Hurricane Melissa. And before Hurricane Melissa, there was Hurricane Beryl. Last year was the fastest Category 5 storm on record. I know this because it was my first day on the job. I was about to start July the 1st to go into office, but they said we can't because hurricane is passing through. Yeah. Sort of a signal for my tenure at the agency. Yes. So what we have to do now, I have always preached, and I think my team at Carib-Export agrees, we have to look for new trading opportunities. And some of the new trading opportunities that we have to look at is trade between the Caribbean and Africa. Now I'm going to quote some statistics for you here right now. I don't know if I can get it because there are lots of points and lots of zeros. So according to ITC, the latest statistics, Africa exports to the Caribbean region represented just 0.001% of its global exports. That is extremely small. While our imports from Africa make up a mere 0.002%. You could win the lotto, you have better odds. By contrast, our exports to Africa were made up of a whopping total of 1.4% of Africa's total imports.
That's what's celebrating.
Yeah? And imports from Africa stood at just 0.4%. So as you can see, these figures represent a huge blind spot, but I, being the optimist that I am, immense potential for trade between the Caribbean region and Africa. Which is why in 2023, Carib-Export Development Agency, we undertook a mission to Ghana and Nigeria. We took about 10 companies from the Caribbean region, including many tech-based economies, and we visited Ghana and Nigeria, where we met with over 100 African businesses chambers of commerce, and we held over 115 business-to-business meetings. What we found, most of all, was there was tangible proof of mutual commercial interest in South-South engagement between the Caribbean and Africa. Worthy of applause. And since that mission, we've seen some outcomes, because we know all about it. I mean, it wasn't just that I got to go and spend a very nice time in Ghana and Nigeria. There was tangible outcomes coming out of it. A company called Global Integrated Fintech Solutions, or GIFS, have made significant strides in advancing business outcomes and entered in a strategic partnership with Omni BCIC Bank, I hope I pronounced that correctly for the Ghanaians in the house, and the Workfield Construction Group, under which GIFS will provide technology-driven solutions to these two organizations. We also signed an MOU between Carib-Export and Afri-Exim Bank to continue to explore trade and opportunities between the Caribbean and Africa. What we have to look at is that there are a number of challenges between goods, in trading goods. We mentioned the shipping, and I think a colleague of mine spoke about the airlift. But we have to look outside the box. We have to think 2025 and beyond. There are tremendous opportunities for tech-driven trade and services trade between the Caribbean and Africa. By anchoring this with private sector partnerships, we can really see solutions that will present itself towards increasing trade between the two regions. When we visited Ghana, I remember we went to an incubator, and there was a bunch of students over there who were coming up with some ideas, and they pitched their ideas to us just to get feedback. And they were some of the most innovative tech-based ideas that I couldn't even imagine them on my own. And I was surprised. I was like, and I'm not surprised that it was coming out of Africa. I was surprised that we were not getting that level of innovation in the Caribbean region. So I think that that is a unique opportunity that we can cross-collaborate and learn from one another, especially from our young people. I also want to mention Ghana's ZPay, which was expanded into Barbados through Z-Money. It brought expertise and technologies to the shores of the Caribbean region. Conversely, the Caribbean's own WePay was developed right here in the Caribbean region and is now operating in Ghana. So once again, we're seeing that technology come together and work together towards bridging that, what I call the digital divide between the Caribbean region and Africa. And we truly see it as a reciprocal relationship. One where Africa's experience in leapfrogging traditional banking systems through mobile money meets the Caribbean's appetite for growing homegrown solutions. And this momentum can only go forward and strengthen. But to realize this potential, we have to realize that there needs to be greater exchanges between both regions. And my commitment here is really our testament towards strengthening that relationship. We have to bring Caribbean and African business people together. We have to have a platform. Afri-Exim Bank is doing a wonderful job of that. They host their annual Afri-Exim Bank Business Forum that takes place in the Caribbean region. But I also want to highlight the work that Carib-Export is doing. We have our Caribbean Investment Forum that we've been doing for the past 4 years. And the last version was held in Jamaica, and my good friend David Mullins was a big part of Caribbean Investment Forum in Jamaica this past July. What I would like to see is that this be a platform where African investors and African businesses, especially in the area of innovation, of tech innovation, can come together and interact with the counterparts in the Caribbean region, which will help remove some of the zeros before the point in the statistics that I was making. The next edition of the Caribbean Investment Forum will be held in, I'm almost done. The next Caribbean Investment Forum will be held in Barbados in 2026. And I will be happy to provide, through David's group, all the information so that we can welcome everyone to come to the Caribbean region and explore relationships between building trade and investment between the Africa and the Caribbean region. Together, we must work to build a tech-driven bridge one that connects African innovation with Caribbean opportunity, a bridge that enables our entrepreneurs, our investors, our innovators, and our policymakers to collaborate, co-create, and compete on the global stage. So as we leave here today, let us not just celebrate the possibilities, let us commit to realizing them. All talk, let's not make it all talk and no action.
Yeah. Yeah.
These conferences, it's always all talk and no action. Let's put ourselves in a position to put action going forward. So let's build that bridge together where African ingenuity meets Caribbean resilience, where innovation drives inclusion, and where our shared future is powered by technology, investment, and the unshakable belief that our best days are far ahead. Thank you very much. Exactly at 10 minutes. Enjoy your day.